Hi everyone, it's me Josh along with Carl, and we are here at um, a little beyond the halfway point of the
Mhm.
Hometowns Trivia League season.
Uh,
We are 5 games into week 7 as at the
yes.
moment of this recording. So there are 3 games that not happened. So when you guys are watching this, those games have happened. You can watch them and see what happened. But we want to come and just chit chat
Yeah,
about
talk.
the season, where we're at, what how the teams are doing, what we think is going to happen, who are our favorite players personally, and who are our least favorite players personally on a personal level. um, Carl, how would you surmise the first 6 weeks so far into this?
This is gonna sound so shady. I I'm gonna say surprising. And season one, no offense to people who played season one, I think season one was always a two-horse race, and we kind of always knew that. Even though those two horses ultimately did not make the championship, but we kind of
Right.
always thought the Chicken Strips or Boy George, yada yada yada, would win the whole thing. Um, I don't know who's winning the whole thing this year. We got a lot of good teams and a lot of it's a big game of rock paper scissors where this team can beat that team, but that team beats this team, who then can beat that team.
Mhm.
It's not as easy as
And there's probably 7 or 8 teams in that
exactly.
cycle there. Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, where last season was yes, we had the 2 teams that were front runners. The big fun storylines for me in that season were who's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And while that still exists to some degree in the margins here, it's now like, okay, who's going to actually win this whole thing?
Don't know.
And I have no earthly idea.
No.
Because there's a lot of contenders,
Yeah.
a lot. I can make an argument for any of them. And
And,
there's teams that have underperformed that I still think could go on a run.
mhm. and I think there are contenders who won't make the playoffs. I think we have more than 8 contending teams, and
Yep.
that's not just to like blow smoke up people's asses. I like legitimately
That's Carl
think
just gushing
10
over Bare Essentials.
there are 10, maybe even 11 championship teams here. And I mean,
That's crazy. And it's true.
sorry to the 5 who I don't think are championship teams. Sorry to y'all.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through all 4 divisions and all 16 teams, talk about where they've been, what they're doing, what the stats are, what their record is, what their ceiling can be, what we assess they need to do. Maybe we'll even give unsolicited advice about how to use a double dip in this here program. Which people are getting better. They're getting better.
We are.
They are. But like we said, we're 5 games into week 7 as the time of recording this. So when we show the standings here in a minute and talk about them, they're kind of incomplete in a sense. I mean, they're incomplete because we're not done with the season, but they're incomplete even within this 1 week. But what we've even learned in these 5 games this week is telling in a number of ways of where certain divisions could be headed. So having said all that, let's start with the beginning, which is Division 1. So right now, the Smart Boards, who are coming off a win in this week against Edgewood High School, are at 5-2 at the top. You have Southwest Hairlines at 3-3 in second place. Bare Essentials got a big win this week. I mean, a very big win that keeps their season really alive in terms of the actual playoffs. And then Glitterati at the bottom, who also is a very good team that has. Carl and I were talking about this the other day, that has had some tough luck. Do you see this here Division 1 being Smart Boards to lose? Is it as simple as this is their division?
It's hard for me not to. I'll take it away because we've looked at it. It's hard for me not to think that this is Smart Boards to lose because they did sweep the initial setup. So again, record does determine overall winner, but when it comes to ties and all that, then we have to look at head to head and all that stuff. Right now, they've got obviously, they're 5-2, and Southwest is closest at 3-3. But currently, Smart Boards have the win against all 3 people in their division already. So even if they were to lose on the back end, then we have to look at point differential. So Smart Boards just have all that's going for them right now. It's hard for me to think that Smart Boards aren't going to take this. But I think they do play beef with the Q coming up, so that's going to be a tough game. I don't know who else they play. Oh, I think they play Sims as well. So Smart Boards does have a hard D4 out of conference play. or out of division play, I should say. So it's not over. It's hard for me to see it going any other way right now, though.
Yes, and I would argue that either of the two teams under them would have a chance, in theory, to overtake them. They need help though. So Smartboards is, if you play Beef with the Q and Sims Family Values, you want to split those one way or the other.
Yeah.
If you can't get them both, at least split those, and you want to come into that second divisional schedule. You want to cut. I mean, if they come in that with a 2-game advantage, realistically, they only have to win one of those 3.
Exactly.
Which should be feasible for a team like Smartboard to do that. But if, let's say, they lose both those games, Sims Family Values to Beef with a Q, and Southwest and or Bear get within a game of Smartboards, then we have an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Who do you then see as the threat to overtake them in Division 1? Is it Bear or is it Southwest?
So Southwest also plays Sims and Beef. So
Oh wow.
And I've been in the streets, I have been in the prod chat, they can attest. I'm a Bear Essentials truther.
Yeah.
I am. And yes, they are 2-5. Woof. But when you look at those 5 losses, I think 2 of them are 1-point losses.
To who? Do you remember?
Strong teams. I think they lost to Smartboards by a point. And I think who else was a 1-point loss? They also, I kind of pull up I wish the matches that, no shade to Blake. This is not shade to Blake at all. He has all the match results all broken up. I just need to find a way to summarize it better for myself. Like Bear Essential started the season and I think they lost. No offense to them. They lost by 1 point to the Smartboards, a very strong team. Then they trounced Glitterati in round 2, started the Glitterati, and then they went on a big losing streak because they were 1-5 at the midway point.
Yep.
They lost by 1 point to Southwest, who I think is a strong team, and then they lost by 2 points to the Weathermen, another strong team, and then this is where it gets a little rough. In weeks 5 and 6. So they lose by 7 to Purple, who's our only undefeated team left in the league. But that match, they doubled a category, had the right answer, talked themselves out of it, and then Purple stole it. So that's a 4-point swing right there. So if we take away that tomfoolery, that's a 13-10 game. So that's a 3-point loss. And then the same thing happened in week 6 against, I think it was Pacific. It was Pacific. Did the same thing. Doubled it, talked themselves out of it. Pacific stole it. That was a 15-9 game. So take away that tomfoolery. That's a 13-11 game.
Yep.
All of their losses have been 1, 2, or 3 points, and they've had a hard schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I am a Bear Essentials truther if they can get out of their own heads.
And what is their schedule? What do they have coming up?
They, I think, have...
And let's just say they also just beat a very strong Sunglass team.
They did. Bear Essentials, I'm telling you, Bear Essentials is a team to watch. I think they have an easier, and again, this is all randomized, so and we can't say this enough. There were teams that are surprising us. I'll be honest. Sims Family Values has shocked me. I did not think they would be this good. I didn't think they'd be bad. I didn't think they'd be this good. And week 1, they didn't look very strong. So I was like, yep, this is what I expected from them.
Yeah, right now we'll get to them, but they would be the number 2 or number 3 seed. Yeah, potentially in the whole thing.
Yep, they shocked me.
Yeah.
So there were just teams we had no clue what they would present. So and again, these schedules were created randomly, and some teams just have easier schedules than others. That's just how it shakes up.
Yep.
Bear Essentials because they're D1, they have D4 coming for weeks 8 and week 9. They play Old Ladies and Identity Thieves, the 2 weaker teams in D4. Sorry to Old Ladies and Identity
Thieves, right?
Which is record wise weaker. So they've got a much easier schedule than Smartboards and Southwest. I will not be shocked coming into divisional play if Bear Essentials is 2nd place in D4 or D1 and challenging Smartboards. Because again, point differential comes down to if it's a head-to-head divisional match and they split it 1-1. Bear Essentials only lost by 1 point in week 1. So if Bear Essentials can reverse their fortune and win on the back end with Smartboards, it either ties or Bear Essentials wins the head-to-head.
Wins the tiebreaker.
So I don't know. Things are looking up for Bear. I don't think it's completely over for them.
And one thing that makes Bear Essentials good, in my opinion, is that I can't off the top of my head tell you what I think their strongest 3 would be.
No, they each bring something unique to the table that there are times where we play a match and I'm like, oh, you really needed the person who sat out this time. And then
Right.
run what we said they should have ran the week before, and it's like, oh, not this week. You actually should have had the person you sat out. Like, they just are a strong four who I think
And
is.
this isn't shade to Benji in any any way, but in my mind I was like, oh, you kind of always want Benji there, but then he didn't play against Sunglass Squad,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, and then they won that game pretty comfortably for the most part. It wasn't like a blowout, but it was
they
a
won by
comfortable win.
2, but they kind of controlled the back
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
It felt comfortably in their control in the back end. So yeah, I really think Bears a much stronger team than 2-5 presents. Yeah, if Bear Essentials ends up, because I think they could be 7-5. They could sweep the rest of their schedule. They've proven that they can, because they only lost by 1 point to Southwest and 1 point to Smart Boards. So like, and they've already beaten Glitterati. So like, I think that they could easily beat Old Ladies, Identity Thieves, and sweep D1, and they could end up be 7-5 and potentially win the tiebreaker over Smart Boards. I won't be shocked if that is the end result we have here. That would involve Smart Boards
Losing a lot
losing to both Sims and
and
Beef, which
beat
is completely possible.
Yep.
And then they'd lose to Bear on the back end. I could easily see Bear Essentials winning D1. It takes a lot to happen, but it's possible.
So, would you put your money on Bear Essentials being a playoff team today?
Now I look at their schedule, I'm tempted. The problem is I don't know if I can bet on them to get out of their own head. If you watch any Bear Essentials match, they double or they second guess themselves. They just when they zig when they should zag. I just don't know if I have faith in them, because again, it's not a guarantee. Like, Southwest is a very good team, Smartboards is a good team. Identity Thieves will get to them, and Old Ladies I think are sneakily good teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a guarantee they'll win 5 games in a row, or I guess it'd be 6 because they just beat Sunglass. I wouldn't bet my money on it. I won't be shocked if it happens. I give it like a 30-1 odds. Like, all right, like a good money return, but it's a little too high for me to be thinking about it. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting on Smart Boards.
But if Bear Essentials is not a playoff team, are they a chump bracket winner?
They could be.
Yeah.
I think they're if Bear Essentials will be a 9 or a 10 seed at worst.
Yep.
And a 7-6 seed at best.
Okay, so then we've done all this Bear Essentials talk. Then you therefore would you put your money on Southwest being a playoff team?
It's hard because like my money is gonna go with no. Sorry to Southwest. And I was a big supporter of y'all's preseason as well. I was like, Southwest is a sleeper team. I think they've gotten a little unlucky with the matches that they've gotten, because again, they're randomized. It's all just spread out who's writing and making sure you get an even spread. I think they've gotten a little unlucky in terms of like some of the question sets that they've had have maybe skewed a little bit older. They are a very, very young team. And I think the matches that have skewed older have just so happened to be against teams that are also older.
Mm.
So I think they've gotten a little unlucky here. So they are 3-3. They're taking on Texas Two-Step in a couple days, which is a huge game. It's probably a must-win for them, to be honest.
Because it's a must-win for them because they, and when you see this, we'll know the outcome of that. It's a must-win because they then step into that beef with the Q Sims family values.
Which is rough. Like, you got to take advantage of, in my opinion, a weaker team in Texas Two-Step. You got to take advantage of that W, because you might go 0-2 in the D4 out of division play there. And again, D1's hard, because I mean, I won't be shocked if Southwest ends up in the playoff bracket. I won't be shocked. I think it is completely possible. I just think that things have to again go their way a little bit. Mm-hmm. They have to show up against these really strong teams. They're capable. It's just looking at the strength of schedule, I just don't know if it's in the cards. It could happen though. I won't be shocked.
Weeks 8 and 9, all of a sudden, when you look at it this closely, like, are big weeks in that division.
Huge.
And you're so right that it opens the door for Bear Essentials to get back in it. Okay, to not say anything about Glitterati.
They are a much strong. Again, I sound like a broken record. They are a much stronger team than what their record shows. They're 1-5. Yeah, I think weeks 1, 2, and 3 were not super great for
which is
them.
Unfortunate, because those are your divisional opponents.
Yeah, the problem for them, and it's why I'm very low on their chances here, D1 winning D1's out of the realm of possibility
Yeah.
because the point differential was so bad in weeks 1, 2, and 3 that it would take a lot. You would have to trounce everyone
Yeah.
on the D1 back end to win out here, and I just don't think that's going to happen for them, unfortunately, because they lost by 8 to Southwest. Where were they in week 2? Week 3 they lost by 7 to Smartboards, and where's week 2? They lost by 5 to Bear. So it's just like, yeah, it's just a huge differential to overcome. But like they got it together weeks 4, 5, and 6. Like we saw a different Glitterati team. Like they took Purple Penguins to OT.
Right.
That's the closest Purple Penguins have gotten to losing all season, was an overtime loss. Like that's impressive. They beat Weathermen, one of the
Yep.
stronger teams in the league, and then they lost by 1 point, I think, to Sunglass. Wasn't it Sunglass in week 6? Who was it? They lost by 1 point to Sunglass. Weeks 4, 5, and 6 have been very, very strong for Glitterati, and like if they can continue that trajectory, and again they have the better schedule in weeks 8 and 9, playing Old Ladies and Identity Thieves versus playing Sims and Beef. If they can get their act together in weeks 10, 11, and 12 and play their divisional rivals at the level they've been playing in 4, 5, and 6, I think a high seed in the chump bracket is their future.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not rule out a chump run for Glitterati. Obviously, everyone's going to get into one or the other. So if they can get a high seed in, so if they're even a middling seed, an above 4 seed, so to speak, in the chump bracket, is possible. And then maybe you get a first round win, and maybe you find your way to playing some. And I don't want to throw names about who they might play, but like to also deem other teams in the jump bracket. But yeah, I think that is their ceiling just because of where they're at. They're 1-5. Winning out would put them at which is a tall order. Would put them at 7-5, which that would be it would be if you want to get back in the season, you have to win out.
And again, it's not out of the realm. I mean, you look at weeks 4, 5, and 6. I mean, Purple Penguins, Sunglass, and Weathermen, they've played 3 of the stronger teams in the league, and they have won overtime and a 1 point loss. Like, they have it in them. It's just they play Pacific this week. They play Pacific in like 8 hours. That's gonna be tough. And then D1 is just an underrated division in terms of quality. So I don't know if I can see a 7-5 for them, but it's possible. I won't be shocked again if in 6 weeks from now you tell me that Glitterati's 7-5. They're a pop culture team. They need matches that lend more towards their strengths, and that's their one win came from a more pop culture heavy match against Weathermen, who are not a pop culture heavy team. So they need some of those breaks to kind of fall their way. Again, playoff run, it's potential. My money is on a higher seed in the jump bracket now for them.
I have to agree. Yeah, I mean, I would love. I mean, not to just go on. I would love to see Bear Essentials get. I mean, they have. Yeah, it's in front of them. It's in front of them. Those two.
Yeah.
They can if they win out, which is not crazy. Bear Essentials is going to be a playoff team. I'm not going to put my money on it either, though. 30-1 feels good.
They're my dark horse team right now. They're
maybe in the. Maybe that would be my top dark horse team in the league right now. It depends on what you qualify as a dark horse team. But yeah, all right. Let's jump over to.
Yeah, let's go to D2.
To D2. Okay. Looking at that, we have Purple Penguins. They are undefeated, 7-0, with a plus 22 point differentials. Very impressive what they've done. Weathermen 5-2 have had some really big wins of late. Vatican City is 3-3 as the time of recording this, and then Nerd World Order is winless at a negative 50 point differential. And I'm only laughing because they laughed about it themselves the other night.
Yeah.
Let's start at the top. Let's start at the top. Start at the top of Purple Penguins. The question that I pose is, are they going to lose in the regular season?
Yes.
They are. Okay. I
think they need to lose. And that's just coming from last year watching the chicken strips, because Boy George lost last year. They lost in their. It was a different format. Okay, don't ask questions. They played one out of divisional game against the chicken strips, and Boy George lost that game. And I think that helped with morale to be like, hey, we lost. It's okay. Chicken strips never lost up until the B team divisional championship in the
Right.
players bracket. That was the first time they lost, and then they got eliminated. I think it helps to lose, to like, all right, it's okay. Like, it's okay. And instead of like having this undefeated record to keep
Actually,
maintaining.
Chicken Strips didn't lose in that first round. Is that what you said?
Well, Chicken Strips lost in the divisional championship because they didn't play anyone until that point because they had the
Yeah,
bye.
that was it. And that
That was
was
it.
that against B team?
It was not. Oh, did I say B team? I meant team. Question
Team.
mark.
Team.
Exclamation.
Exclamation point.
Just team. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of team names. Okay, a lot of team names with team.
Yeah.
Yeah, against team.
Anyway, yeah, the battle wound of losing a game, knowing what that feels like.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, so you say they need to lose.
I think they need to for their hearts and just like to like drop this undefeated. Because like again, what team has gone undefeated and have won any championship? You look at the Patriots
Yeah.
from what 07, 09, whatever the fuck that year was, and like it followed them, and then they got trounced in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
You look at the University of Kentucky, who came in undefeated like what 5 or 6 years ago into March Madness, made it all the way to the championship and lost. It just carries a weight that I just think is a burden at some point. It's
Right.
Take the loss early when it doesn't matter. That's my opinion. Purple Penguins.
And if I'm looking at their schedule, they have Pacific. They have the divisional rematches. I think that I see 3 teams that I would potentially put money on a loss if I was going to 3, and that would be Pacific, Weathermen, and maybe Vatican City at the end. And you can even put money on Edgewood potentially. So like they have a tough schedule down the stretch here.
But I thought the same thing. They played Sims and Beef in week 6 and 7. I was worried for them there, and they proved me wrong and beat both of them. So like,
yes, we all thought that they would lose one of those two.
I thought
just because it's hard to play all these good teams, play these up to that point. So they cruised through their divisional play, and what was the Weathermen game close?
It was a 1-point game.
Okay, so they had a tough game there. They beat Vatican pretty easily. They beat Nerd World easily. Glitterati, Bear Essentials, easy. So up until once again, we're talking about those 2 teams again, Sims Family Values and Beef. Up until that point, Purple Penguins was cruising. So we were like, okay, let's see them up against like a consistent, like tough schedule for a couple weeks. And they've passed with flying colors.
Absolutely. I mean, again, they have a lot of close victories. Like, so, and that's why I'm not high on the undefeated season. And again, last year's champions, Boy George, Michael Brown, yada yada, had a lot of close games as well.
Yep.
Where, realistically they could have had a few losses on the season. But like when I look at Purple Penguins, yeah, they trounced Vatican. Sorry to Vatican. 1 point against the Weathermen. A 3-point win against Nerd World Order. We just talked about their 50-point differential. That is the closest point differential-wise Nerd World Order has come to winning a game this year.
Yep.
It's against Purple Penguins.
Go figure.
No shade.
Yeah.
They went to overtime with Glitterati. And then
in a game without Mike, their strongest player.
Without Mike, so like again, that's not a fair comparison. So like, and they know it now. This is not like we're trying to help them out here.
This isn't news.
Mike, you're playing every week, so whatever your schedule is, that's what's happening. They cruised against Bear, and then where's week 6 with them? They 2-point win against Sim, so it was close, and then they just beat Beef by 1 point. So again, a lot of close games. They could easily be 5-2, 4-3.
Yeah, I mean that's a bonus round going differently, or a one doubler going wrong, like anything.
Yeah. Again, they're still a strong team. I'm not trying to like.
Oh yeah, look,
down a peg and be like, oh, they could be 4-3.
This is our number 1 seed right now.
Like 7-0, it's scary to look at on paper. I think Purple is beatable, but I think Purple has proven that they are a very strong and consistent team.
And they're also a deep team. All four of them have brought something to the table. Now, granted, yes, we said they're led by Mike, who puts up big numbers most weeks, and teams have that. That's fine. But the rest of them, Jamie, Sydney, and Aaron, have all come through with big answers at different points.
It's hard because like Sydney's kind of their Gen Z representation that they needed in the beef match. That game almost went to overtime because of a Gen Z knowledge question that they did not know. Luckily, they were playing beef, who also maybe needs some Gen Z representation.
Right.
But like Jamie is very helpful in the sports category. Aaron is very knowledgeable. I think Aaron and Mike have that like older pop culture knowledge that they both can like bounce off each other and get to the right answer. We've seen that a few times where they're like, okay, I think it's something around this range, and they get it because they can bounce off each other. They are a very deep team as well. And unfortunately, kind of like Bear Essentials, they can't run all four. They lose something by sitting someone out, which is unfortunate for them. But they're a very good team.
Yes, very good. I mean, they're our top team at the moment. They would be, the Vegas front runners to win it all at the moment. Just you have to put them there because they haven't lost yet.
They haven't lost. I mean, they're a playoff team. It would take a lot for them to not make. I mean, they'd have to lose all 5 of their games, and then some tiebreakers would have to shake up against them for them not to make the playoffs.
I think a playoff spot is
all but guaranteed.
All but guaranteed at this point. Even if they ended up 7-5, but that would mean they lose every game from here on out, which is highly unlikely. If not going to happen. But I will say I don't think the division is locked up.
No, I think Weathermen can challenge.
I think they can catch them. It's only a 2-game difference. So if you look at all Weathermen need is Penguins to lose a game before that week.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They need them to lose one game before their rematch.
Because again, it's 1 point loss for Weathermen on the front end. So again, if Weathermen can beat on the back end,
that's
it'll go their way.
Very likely to be. So like Weathermen, you're hoping for one loss. So you're rooting on Pacific Midwest this week. Looked at Edgewood High School the week after, and then maybe even, I guess that's Nerd World that week after. So maybe you don't worry about that week as much.
Love you.
Yeah. No, they've given me full permission to be a total tool to them.
I mean, it's hard not to at 0-7 with a negative 50. That on average you lose by 7 points a week. That's rough. I mean, they just lost by 13. Lost by 13. And that's not their only 13-point loss. They lost by 16-3 earlier in the season too. It's like, come on, y'all.
They can do it.
Their own fault because they had the right answer and then they just didn't say it. Like they've done this so many times.
Let me look at their schedule. Let's jump to them real quick. I'll get back to Weathermen.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot more to say about Nerd World Order. If they are to win a game,
who is it against?
It's
okay. Because the remaining schedule is they play Edgewood next, they play Texas afterward, and then they play through D2 again. Okay, so it's hard. Yeah, I just struggle because Edgewood's weaknesses, I think, are also Nerd's weaknesses. I think Nerd obviously has the sports knowledge that Edgewood does not possess, but that's a category.
Yeah, a category.
I don't think it goes past that. And they both, Edgewood and Nerd just doesn't have pop culture knowledge, period. And Edge's issue is they are a very young team. We'll get to them in a minute, but like Texas is a very old team. If they miraculously get a match, and again, when we assign them, I don't look at the fucking questions. All I care about is who writes them. I don't give a fuck.
We look at the questions.
Once we have our 3 writers for the week, I assign it. I don't even look at the matches, and then we proof afterwards. Like I'm not even looking at the matches to be like, oh well, this favors Nerd World Order. Let's try to get them a win. I don't give a fuck. Sorry, if Nerd World Order goes 0-12, I don't care. If in week 9 Nerd World Order gets a match that is just so happenedly a lot of Gen Z knowledge, then I think they stand a chance against Texas. That's their only hope, though. But again, Texas has the sports knowledge that is Nerd World Order's. Like that's been their strength this year, because a lot of these teams don't have sports knowledge.
I'll say one other thing. and I'm hesitant to say this.
No,
I,
no, say it because I'm gonna say if you don't.
I also think they can maybe beat a Stevenless Vatican City
Correct
Cardinals.
me though. Yep, absolutely.
Maybe. It's still
It's
they're still not the favorites
no, no,
by any means.
no.
But Vatican City is coming off a loss that did not that demoralized them,
Let's just say that.
for lack of a better way to put it.
Let's say
Um, and I even if Steven plays, I still think there's a world, depending on how things go.
potentially. Sure,
Those are the two matches I'm looking at Nerd World Order and saying maybe,
maybe.
maybe.
I mean, I'd even throw in Weatherman in there because Weatherman loves to choke away a game that
They
they
do love to choke a game away. Maybe
Weathermen
they're
can't. I can't bank on Weathermen to do anything successfully, and they'd say the same thing. So they can't even be here
yeah,
and
yeah.
being mean to them.
I would
They'd say
love,
it themselves.
yeah, yeah. I hope that Weathermen don't, because
Same. I'd
truthfully,
like for Weathermen to after they lost out last season on a technical. And not I don't want to say technicality because the answer was wrong. Okay,
right.
Great Britain is not a country. Great Britain is an island.
But they missed the playoffs on another team's games.
On another team's game that initially was granted the way that they wanted and then was
Right.
reversed because of an incorrect answer that was given and a proper challenge from then
Team.
team, now Pacific Midwest. So like I would love for them to make the playoffs this year and like have a good run after the unfortunate thing of last season. But again, it's the Weathermen. It's the Weathermen. I can't trust them for anything. All love, all
Yep.
love. But
But I'll say to the Weathermen, you know, yeah, I mean, you basically just said it. Like, but if they want to challenge for the division, they get a Purple Penguins loss, and then they square off in
week 11.
week 11.
Yeah.
In what will be a huge game.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that when that day comes. A huge game, unless Purple Penguins just keeps winning. If Purple
Yeah,
Penguins,
good.
if Penguins don't lose until that game,
It don't matter.
then
It don't matter.
it's curtains for the division.
It's over.
Yeah.
They won the division. Good for them. But I'm excited because we're about to talk about D3 here in a minute. D3 is a very strong division that I think we were kind of shocked at how strong they came out. And they're all very balanced. So yeah, like I mean, D2 has to play D3 in weeks 8 and 9, and like all four of those teams are strong. And
And
yeah,
and to talk about like Vatican City, and they've been up and down all season, and took a loss that was really unfortunate and kind of killed spirits a little bit. But regardless of the lineup that comes out on week to week,
yeah,
they have strength and they have the ability. Like they're playing Old Lady or playing Identity Thieves. You know the outcome of that game. I do not at this current moment. That game could go either way in any configuration of players, without a doubt. But then Vatican has a tough road.
yeah. I mean, let's talk about Vatican because I think Weathermen and Purple are making the playoffs. It's a question of who wins the division. Likely Purple, but I won't be shocked if Weathermen take it in the case of maybe a Pacific loss,
Right.
a loss to Pacific,
Right.
From Purple. Vatican has a rough because they play week 8 and week 9 with D3, which again we've said is a strong division. So like I don't know how those games will shake out against Squirtle or not Squirtle, Sunglass, and Pacific. That's rough.
Yep.
I mean, two very strong teams, but again, playing Texas and Edgewood isn't much better either. Like D3 is just a hard division, and
Right.
it's a rough schedule. And then yeah, they play Weathermen and Purple again. Vatican, I think for me is going to be a mid-table chunk bracket.
Yeah.
For me, and that is rested in that I don't believe Stephen Moreland is playing many more games for them. Let's leave it at that. That's a big weakness for them. They need Stephen.
Right.
Stephen is their sports person. Stephen just also has a lot of knowledge in realms that the other members don't possess. I think Jenny's good pop culture and has some good science knowledge. I think Sarah is a good literature person. I think Chris has a pretty good depth of knowledge in terms of he's like he's a jack of all trades, a master of none. He's got good knowledge in everything, but like it's not deep enough. I think Steven has really good deep knowledge in like academia that goes beyond like science and literature and
I will say I don't think we've seen the depth of Chris's abilities yet. Chris
I don't think
finished
so.
like third in his high school class. He's like one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. So
I don't
like,
think he's come his way yet.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, and again, I said this preseason. I said Vatican City was a dark horse team preseason. I was like, I think this team could really ruffle some feathers and defeat some teams that kind of shocks some people. I think without Steven, though, I just think they have got a lot of weaknesses that I don't know if I can look past with the schedule that's left.
yep.
I hope you're wrong because I really enjoy Vatican.
Right. I want them to win. They've been a source of income because of the timely nature of their team name, and random people Googling Vatican City Cardinal merch and our website coming up and people buying our shirts. But they just have a tough schedule. If they can stay afloat until the divisional rematches,
Yeah.
I'm giving them a prayer to
Yeah,
still be a
it's
playoff
possible.
team.
It's absolutely possible because D3, what we're about to talk about them, they're cannibalizing each other. So like
Yes.
playoff spots are opening up because D3 refuses to have a fucking front runner to
Yep.
save their goddamn lives. But that's D2. I think it's purple v weather, but I think an outside chance for Vatican to make it. No order. Chump bracket's yours.
Yeah, first pick in the draft.
Win a game. Come on. We're all rooting for you to win a game.
No, they're tanking now. They need that first pick.
Girl, not the season 3 first pick in the draft. Well, who they're kicking off the team for the first pick in the draft. You can kick them off. Sound off in the comments. I'm kidding.
Sound off in the comments.
Let's go.
All right. Division 3. We are looking at once again at the time of recording this. Do you have the
right here.
Oh, there we go. Pacific Midwest sits at top at 4-2. And we'll likely stay atop regardless of how this game goes tonight for them. Not saying that they're guaranteed to win, but they'll at least be tied at 4-3 with Sunglass Squad, who just came off a loss to Bear Essentials, like we talked about earlier. Texas Two Step, who's a little bit on the rise, who was losing a bunch and now is all of a sudden figuring things out. They're 3-3. And then Edgewood High School just took a loss to Smart Boards at the time of recording this. That was last night. And that was a tough loss for them in terms of where they're hoping to end up, a sputtering team in some respects, win one, lose one, win one, lose one kind of team. But yeah, this is Division 3. And yes, there is not a front runner, but in my mind, there is a front runner. And probably yours as well, Carl. And that's been
that. Yeah.
If I was putting my money on a team right now, it's on Pacific Midwest.
From Pacific. Yeah. They're on a 4-game win streak.
Yeah, they lost their first 2. Pull up those scores. They had to be close losses those first 2 weeks.
Let's see here. Pacific Midwest, because they lost against Texas to kick off the season, a 2-point loss. And then in week 2, they lost to Sunglass. I think it was a 1-point loss. It was a 1-point loss. So like their 2 losses, very, very close. But that's why they have such a huge point differential, 22 points, because they've been killing it since. Not that they weren't killing it in week 1 and week 2, but starting off 0-2 is not the best for morale, but they've been killing it a lot since. Obviously, because the standings are so close, I am a little concerned when it comes to head-to-head tiebreaker, just because it is such a close record right now. If for some reason they were to drop another game coming up in their D2 in weeks 8 and 9 when they play D2, or if they just drop something on the back end, because again, D3 is a very strong division. I worry for how the tiebreakers will shake out for them, but that's for any of the teams in D3 for that matter. But the fact they went 1-2 to start on the front end, they have to really pick it up on the back end.
At worst, this division is going to be separated by 2 games at the end of this week. If Pacific beats Glitterati tonight, which I would pick them to do so, then it's a 2-game difference between first and last place in this division, which is great news. No matter what for Edgewood High School,
for any team in this division,
for any of them, yeah. Who is Texas playing this week? They play
Southwest.
Gotcha. Okay,
which is a huge game. I feel like it's, dare I say, a must-win for whatever team, for both of them, honestly.
Yeah.
If you're Texas, you're in D3. Every win is crucial in D3. On top of you have to play everyone again in D3, and then Southwest, as we already talked about, has Sims and Beef coming up, and then all of D1 to play again. I think is a must-win for both of them, and I think the loser of that game on Sunday is, for me, a chump bracket team. So but the game's already happened when you're watching this. So,
sorry to the loser. You're heading to the chump bracket. But
Yeah,
yeah, I would say right now, and not just because they're in first, but the way they've been playing,
they've been
Kelly's on one. Um,
Kelly's on one, Preston's on one. I think when Liv has her moments. I think Liv, there have been moments where not great, but when Liv's on one, Liv's on one.
yep.
Like Liv can come alive
Just
as
get her to a bar.
well. Literally her best game. She's like a drink in at a bar, writing her answer on a fucking napkin, and she's on her best game. But yeah, I
Which this is, I mean, and not to mention, this is the crazy thing. Their standout performance to me was their win against Beef with a Q, because you
mhm,
come into that game that is a quote unquote championship rematch.
yeah,
Now it's just that core of that team, Kelly and Preston, that are
yeah,
back. And Beef is a little bit different too, but their strongest players are still on that team.
mhm,
Though in that game, yeah, they both played. Tyler and Ryan both played
I believe so. Yes.
in that game. So, it was the big guys all playing
Yep.
in that game. And Pacific, who got trounced in the championship last year or last season.
I think they got trounced in game one, and then game two was pretty close. They both
Yeah,
did.
yeah, but
Game
like
one was
they
bad.
lost 2 games to nothing.
Yeah.
And we're not really in the driver's seat at any point.
No.
Came out and said, "All right, new season, we're here to play."
Yeah.
They sit quietly, they get their answers right, and that to me was like, oh, okay. Now not only is this a division contender in
Yeah.
a team, this is a championship contender.
Absolutely.
It is hard to get to a championship more than one time, but it's just they're such an unassuming team in some respects that you're always like, oh yeah, they're really good and they're going to beat you. Anyway, all in all, a tight team of three here that when they get to the playoffs
They're all
will have
playing.
no issue. They're all playing. Will have no issue um, outlasting you in a 3 game set.
Absolutely. I, I'm very high in Pacific. Let's talk about everyone else, though. I
Yeah,
think Pacific's a playoff team unless things hit the fan.
right.
And again, they have a hard schedule. I'm not denying that they have a hard
Right.
schedule.
And because this division is so tight, this could be a division that only gets one playoff spot.
Yeah, because they're cannibalizing each other because they have been going so. I mean, no one left this division 3-0. Every other division had a team that left divisional play 3-0 because Smartboards swept, Purple swept, and Beef swept. D3 was the only team that did not have a sweep in the front half. Everyone was either 2-1 or 1-2. Um, so yeah, if they keep cannibalizing each other, if they keep doing this ping pong back and forth, you've got teams like Purple and Weatherman and Sims and Beef who are gonna move on because they just have a better record because they just played more consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we might only get one team from D3 if that's how it shakes up. That could be how it shakes up, and that's unfortunate and like that sucks because like we made the divisions. But like I stand by the divisions, I really do.
Yeah, yeah. We
'Cause I think I think there's one. I don't want to say lackluster, but I'd say there's one team that's kind of like below the rest in each division from in D1, D2, and D4, and then you got D3 who doesn't have anybody. But that's just the name of the game when you've got 16 teams, and I think only 3 teams are kind of not up to par.
so that means man, even if Pacific Midwest pulls away, there's not enough time for the other teams.
No,
So these other teams need to beat Pacific Midwest.
absolutely.
They have to if teams in this division
Yeah,
outside of whoever wins it want to make the playoffs, they have to challenge the division.
yeah,
um,
absolutely.
because otherwise they'll just keep beating each other. They'll all be 500 teams, and then you'll have 3 other teams elsewhere that
Mhm.
are above 500
Yeah.
and take those playoff spots.
Yeah, it's like the NFC South from this past year. Tampa goes on to advance at like 9-8, and then you've got Atlanta out at 8-9, and
Right.
New Orleans wasn't too far behind that either. It's like you've got all these teams that just keep trading back and forth, and only one team's going to make it because the rest of y'all have average records, and that's my fear for D3 when D3 is probably the strongest division on average, which is unfortunate. But sometimes just how shit happens. But also, they play out of division games that they aren't capitalizing on. I think there are teams in this division that could have won some out of division games and they blew it. So like, I can't feel too bad. I
Yeah,
can't
I mean,
feel
so we
too
can
bad.
talk about Sunglass, who are a top team in this league, but lost a tough one to Sims Family Values, lost to Bear Essentials this week, and instead of being 6-1 or even 5-2, they're at just barely over 500, and now are likely going to end this week. And maybe I'll be eating my words if Glitterati beats Pacific on Sunday night, but likely to be that's what 2 games back
Yeah.
or 1 game back. Sorry, it'll be
One
1
game
game
back.
back
One game
of
back.
Pacific, and that's huge.
Yeah. It's huge.
What's the what was the
Sunglass beat Pacific on the
by
front
how
end.
much?
Uno.
By 1 point. That's basically a tie.
Basic. Yeah.
And so yeah,
But
you got to get into that game.
let's talk Sunglass specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had some rough losses. I think, the Sims game, they were in control of that game, start to finish, and of course, Tolis is sitting out, who is famously Greek, and the final category is all about Greek food, and Megan from Sims sweeps the category. They force overtime and they lose. and Sunglass loses a game that they controlled start to finish. Unfortunate, or maybe it wasn't even an overtime game. It might have just
It
been.
was. Yeah, no, you're right.
I can't remember if that was or if that Souvlaki question won the game outright.
No,
Couldn't remember.
it sent us to overtime.
Lost that game. My problem with Sunglass is that they are an older team, and it's my same concern for Beef. It's my same concern for Texas, and it's my same concern on the flip side for teams like Southwest, Edgewood, teams that are just so significantly in one age group that things that are pop culture centric that are not from when they grew up or when they were in college or whatever aren't in their wheelhouse. That's my fear for teams like this. Sunglass, I fear for more recent pop culture for them, and it's shown, unfortunately. But I think they're a great team, and
they're a very good team. They're a very highly competitive group,
yes,
and a team that cares a lot. Like they come in every week expecting to win, wanting to win, knowing how it affects their season. And
if I'm a betting person, I would bet Pacific and Sunglass make the playoffs.
I think I would say that as well.
But that's just on average, and that's just based off what we've seen 7 games in, 6.5 games in.
Yeah.
From most teams, that's my bet. But let's talk about the other 2 teams, because there's not really much to say about Sunglass outside of they've won the games that they've won well, and the games that they've lost, they've made critical mistakes down down at the end, and it's lost in the game.
Yeah, I mean, not to harp on critical mistakes, but also in that Sims game, Michael had the scrubs answer.
Yeah, and
that's a difference maker.
Trend alert, stop being nice. That goes for some other fucking teams here at Weathermen. If you know the answer, tell your other teammates to shut up and just say, I know the answer, you're wrong. And I'm going to lock in the answer that I know is right versus trying to appease and make your teammate feel heard. Just say, hey, I hear you and you're wrong.
and then if you end up being wrong, wear it on the chin. Yeah. But it's still the better way to proceed.
Because Weathermen and Sunglass have lost games by a point or in overtime because they played too nicely and wanted to make their teammate feel heard, and
or their brother.
You locked in the wrong answer. So
yes,
stop being nice.
Yes, be mean. Be mean to each other. I'm gonna wear a shirt that says "Be mean to each other," and I'm gonna be like Julie Chen Moonves at the end of every game of HCL. And remember, hate one another.
Please. Oh Lord, let's talk Texas.
Yes,
because they're on a streak right now. They were I think 1-3, and now they've won the last 2 games.
Yep.
So they're up to 3-3. Steph Fagan has come alive in the last 2 games, and they've won both of them. So keep that going. They're a good team. I just don't know what's going on with them. I'll be honest. They seem like a team that is in a fucking rut that I don't understand why they're not better.
Right.
I'm just call a spade a spade. They should be better.
This is a playoff team from last season
that year.
Added Karthik.
Karthik.
Very smart person.
Very smart. Why are you not better?
Be better.
Period. I just think this team is capable of so much, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm just going to be honest. I'm just not seeing it. And I want them to be better because I love them all dearly. They are all, I've met them all in person. I love them all. I actually have not met Jeff. But
That's surprising.
Yeah, Jeff. What's up?
Yeah.
No. I just love this team, and I just expect more from them.
And they
They,
probably expect more from themselves as well. I mean, and look, they're playing well right now. So like
keep going, please.
yeah. So let me okay. I know we just saw they're playing Southwest this week.
Southwest,
You guys know the outcome of that game. I do not.
we do not.
Um, but
And
if they
yeah,
won that game, ooh, if
then they
they won
have
that game, they have Nerd World Order coming up. They have that on them,
put away.
and then
Okay?
they have a chance to cause some chaos in the division by going 2-1 in the last 3 games.
Yeah,
Maybe even surprising people winning them all. They've already beaten Pacific Midwest. They are
yeah,
definitely capable of beating the other two.
it can be won again. Absolutely.
So this is a team like we talked about with Bear Essentials is on the rise, but they're on the rise in a better spot than Bear Essentials.
Absolutely.
In a division that is very winnable right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, if Pacific did win this game against Glitterati, and they're current, well, I guess we also don't know what Texas did, so we just got to sit where what we know.
Yeah.
They're only a game behind.
And they beat Pacific out in the front half. So all Texas has to do is win again on the back half, and they have the tiebreaker over Pacific. And they won by 2. So even if Pacific wins by 1, if they can even keep it close, they still win the tiebreaker over Pacific.
Yep.
Texas is in the best spot to overtake Pacific because they won by 2 versus Pacific either beat them initially or only lost by 1. They're in the best position to
Yeah.
overtake Pacific.
Yeah, we're talking about this team. They've resurrected their season with just 2 wins these last 2 weeks, and
Absolutely.
so depending on what you guys hope, I mean, hopefully for you, you won the Southwest game.
Yeah,
Hopefully for Southwest, they won their game too. It's
exactly.
both teams need that win. I'm really looking forward to that now here on this side
Great
of it
game.
to that game. Is that one tonight?
Sunday.
That one's Sunday. Okay, great. I will be present for that one.
Yeah, big game for them. I just don't know what to make of them. I don't know. They are the biggest like wild card team left for me because I just don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
What
All
team is
right.
going to show up? What team is going to show up?
The beauty of trivia.
So, but they could be in, they could be out. I don't know.
Mhm.
My money's on no for right now, just because from what I've seen, I just don't have. I don't know if I have enough faith.
And you
But
gotta have faith.
gotta have. I want them to make it. I want all these teams to make it. But
I want to take Ryan Taylor's idea from the beginning of the season and put all 16 teams in the playoffs.
all 16 make the playoffs.
Just kidding. I don't want that actually.
No, that'd be so much fucking work. I refuse. Sorry.
Then we have
Uh,
Edgewood.
We got Edgewood. Who, again, I'm going to say the same thing I said about them that I said about Texas. This team should be better. This
Yeah.
team should be better. And here's the thing. They need Jake Miller playing every game. Jake Miller is their oldest member by 5 years.
He's so old.
So old, beyond old. He's my age. And he has some of that like mid 2000s knowledge that this team desperately needs. They've got the Gen Z knowledge. They've got that on lock. They've got the pop culture knowledge. But Jake, I think, while he is not a big sports person, has at least a sports foundation. So when you're being asked a question about teams, at least he can guide them into, all right, like, oh, it's this area of sports. Here are the bigger players that were playing around this time. He's not a sports person, but he at least can guide them
Mhm.
into at least an area of relative guessing where they give an answer that could have been correct, even if it's wrong. Jake needs to play every game. I don't think he's their star player, funny enough, but like I just think he grounds them in. I need him to play more for that team.
Now,
They have talent. It's just not working out for them.
and
right
once
now.
again, I mean, like once again, what are they? They're 3-4. Okay,
3-4. It's
fine.
not over.
Like,
It's not
not
over.
over. Game under 500, not a huge deal. And they beat Southwest last week, right?
Yes,
By how many? It was
it
closer,
was.
but
I think like 2 or 3.
it was closer, but it felt like a game that they had kind of control of.
Yeah,
That's an impressive win.
Yeah.
They also beat who else did they beat?
They
They
beat.
beat
Let's see here. Who have they beaten? They beat. I mean, they were 2-0 to start the season. They
yeah.
beat.
Oh, so they beat Sunglass in Texas to start the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck? This is a team very capable. And so they just lost to Smart Boards. That one wasn't close. Things didn't go right on a number of levels, and that's fine. Smart Boards is a championship contending team. no
Yeah.
shame in losing that game. That's not to say that they can never beat smart boards in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, just again, sometimes question sets just go
One
not
way
in
or
your
the
favor.
other. It
It's
happens.
it
That's the beauty
literally
of the
just
playoffs. If you get in, you're going to get at least 2 games.
Yep.
And you just no idea what you're going to get there. But so they coming off this, they have Nerd World Order, then Purple Penguins. Of course, there's one easier one there, one harder one there.
Yeah.
You just hope to split those. Maybe you beat Purple and
Yeah.
and you get and you get hot. And then you go back to the division where you've already won 2 of those 3 games and are very capable of winning all 3. So I am not by any stretch of the
No.
imagination. It's the nature of this division. We've basically sold the same story for all 4 teams. But it's true. One team is going to separate themselves from this, and 3 teams might be left in the dust. But it's going to be who's it going to be.
Yeah. I still have high hopes for them. They were a playoff when initially the season started. I predicted 8 teams to make the playoffs. They were one of them. I thought they might have even won this division, honestly, and they still can. They still absolutely can. Things just have not gone their way lately in terms of who they've put in. The question sets have come. That's just the nature of being a 4-person team, and
Mhm.
sometimes you set out the wrong person, and their knowledge set would have been very helpful. It's happened to other teams. I'm not down on Edgewood High School. I think there's a chance they make it. If I'm betting right now, statistically, right now, probably not in their favor. But again, they have proven that they can win on the back end. D3 is just hard. It's just a hard division to predict. I didn't think it would
Mhm.
be this way. I really
I
didn't think it.
know. And,
I didn't think it'd
and
be.
and you say maybe not, but like if they beat, they could 1, 2. Then there are 5 games left. They could easily go 3-2 in those games, and that puts them
6-6.
6-6. Ooh, that's tough. You probably want to be over 500 to get a playoff spot. So, but 4-1 is not out of the question.
No, absolutely not. They could go 5-0 in these games. I would not be surprised. I won't be shocked. I legitimately think that they can. They gotta lock in.
Yep.
They gotta lock in. And here's the reality. I'm here to spread the truth. So, and it's not just y'all. There are other teams that get this way too. Stop getting so defeated. I think as soon as they are down a point or down to 2 points, you just see the mentality in them kind of shut off. Again, you're down a point. Chill. It's okay. It happens. There have been teams down 6 and have come back to win it. There have been teams down 7 that have come back to win it.
And here's the other thing I'll say to this team and many, many others. Use your point doubler.
If you feel confident in a category, even if it's round fucking 1, do it.
Now, granted, in their game against Smart Boards last night, they
They
nailed their point doubler, and that's great. But I see game and game and game in and game out. This team, and plenty others. Let's not use it. Let's save it. Let's not use it. Let's save it. And then, inevitably, we get to round 11, and we have to play the wonderful game of: Are you going to use it now, or are you going to be forced to use it on a category you don't know? And that can work out well for some people, but it very well can go wrong. So,
yeah, I desperately need this team in particular to just be more strategic with their power ups. If you are between 2 answers, just double fucking dip. I don't care if it's round 1, round 2, round 3, just do it. Do not gamble, especially for a team like Edgewood who gets defeated. Don't let yourselves fall behind early. Like the game where they played Southwest, they were ahead super early, and you could see the momentum with them. They never let go because they felt good because they were winning. So let's bring that into the next couple of games. Start off early and want to succeed, so you have that good mentality, because I think that just helps them. When they get defeated, you just see them miss questions they shouldn't be missing because they're not in the right headspace.
yep.
That team in particular. So
The
don't
best teams score 4 points via their power ups.
Mm-hmm.
It's just find your place that you're gonna guarantee these points and get them.
Yep.
It's not saved for a rainy day. It's none of that. It's 4 points. Find a way to score them, and then play the rest of the categories.
I love this division, though. It's the division I got my ass on.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's very fun.
Division. I love this division, and I am going to be so heartbroken for whatever teams don't make it. But dare I say, is the Trump bracket winner
here? Yeah. You read my mind. I had the same thought. Does the Trump bracket winner come from here? High likelihood.
Yeah.
But those are 1-game shootouts. You just never know.
Yeah, never know. But D3 very strong. Don't know who's going to win. Don't know who's going to make it in. Don't know who's going to make it out. It's just weeks 10, 11, and 12 are going to be so electric for D3. So Let's talk D4.
Division 4 to round us out. In first place,
Who would have thunk it?
Sims Family Values at 5-2 and an impressive 5-2.
Yes.
Right under them are reigning champs Beef with a Q, 4-3, a record that's a little surprising as well. Identity Thieves, a very unfortunate 2-4. I would call that unfortunately sometimes self-inflicted 2-4,
Yeah, let's
not
call it no.
as opposed to an old lady's maybe unlucky 2-5.
A 2-5 with a, let's clock it, a -2 differential.
That's crazy.
That's insane. That is a fucking insanity.
That's crazy.
Insane.
Do we have any? I'm gonna just do a quick glance. Any losing record teams that are anywhere near that kind of number? No,
I don't think so.
nope, none of them.
No.
Yeah, a -2 point differential at
Because
2-5.
they've gone over. Let's talk old ladies. Because love the old ladies. I think statistically, it's probably over for the old ladies. And again, I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. They got 5 games left, so they can go at best 7-5. But obviously, they'd have to play Sims again. They have to play Beef again, and I don't know who they're playing this week.
Well,
or this upcoming.
Yeah,
set.
they have Bear.
Okay, so not great, not a great.
But Bear
got
and Glitter back to back. That's 2 that you can win.
You can win, absolutely, and they can beat Thieves. I mean, I honestly think they can challenge Beef and Sims. Honestly, I mean, I think they've already taken Sims to overtime. But all in all to be said, old ladies have 2 OT losses.
Yeah,
that they could have won, and then they think they just lost this week.
Shout out to the $3 billion yacht.
And they
was
lost
it 3 or was it 3? What? No, it wasn't 3 billion. It was 30 billion.
30 billion.
Yeah.
They lost to the Weathermen by just a point to the Weathermen.
Yeah. In a game where that was a couple days ago. They played fantastic in the second half.
Yeah.
Got themselves like they were laughing about the score at halftime because it was 10-5. I remember that.
Yeah,
and they were like, "No, you don't have to say it." And then all of a sudden, it's a 1-point game before you blink, and it's a 1-point game, and they could have won that.
Absolutely, old ladies are not a bad team.
No,
they just had some real unfortunate luck. They took Texas to overtime, a potential playoff team. They took Sims to overtime, the current division leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 point loss to the Weathermen. Their other losses I don't think are super. Or they lost by 3 to Sunglass, which is again a good team, and then they lost to Beef. Unsure what that score was. Lost by 5. Not terrible. All these aren't a bad team. It's just they've had unfortunate luck that's not gone their way, and unfortunately, I just can't bank on it with the schedule they've got left. It's possible though. I'm not down and out on the old ladies, but statistically, they're not a favorite to make the playoffs, but a team that I'd be scared to play in the playoffs because they're a team proven time and time again they're content playing close games versus some of these teams fucking panic when it's a close game.
Yeah, they joke about only being here for a good time, and their record is unfortunately reflective of that sentiment. When in reality, a -2 point differential at 2-5 is crazy.
Crazy. That's unheard of. That's ridiculous. You've lost 5 of your 7 games, and your total point loss is only 2.
Yep,
it's crazy. But I'm wishing them the best of luck. They're probably my favorite team to host. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're so much. Them and Nerd World Order are just so much fun to host because they're just having a good time no matter what. They're laughing, they're giggling the whole way through.
I mean, let's work our way up. Let's. I love this team.
I love this team
so much. And once again, they have played in this week. We don't know what happened. They played against Vatican City. Definitely a game that they can potentially win and might have won at this point. I have no idea. But this team, it's so frustrating because they could easily be 4-2 instead of 2-4.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a team much like Texas and Edgewood. Why aren't you better? Why aren't you better, damn it? This is a team that I thought could have playoff aspirations before the season because they did the same fucking shit that they're doing this season they did last season, where they start off really slow and then pick it up at the end. But funny enough, they were doing
but their slow start
they should have beat the old ladies, and they blew it. They doubled a sports question, said it, and then didn't lock it in. Said thicket
instead of wicket.
Ugh!
And then they should have beaten Beef with a Q.
It was you. They
Nicole
controlled
said
that
yellow. She
game.
said yellow.
They controlled that entire fucking game and then forced it to overtime, and they lost it. This team should be 4-2, potentially even 5-2 after a potential Vatican City win
Right.
here in a couple days. This team could be in the playoffs. It's still technically possible.
Yeah, I'm not counting them out.
It's not over.
If they did win that game against Vatican, which who knows,
It's a must win.
it's a must win for them. It's a must win for both teams, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this. Look, I mean, they get Glitterati and Bear Essentials,
Bear
two
Essentials,
teams
two
that
teams
they can beat, two teams that can absolutely beat. So let's hypothetically say they won that game and they're right now 3-4. They go up to 5-4, and then they go back to the division in 3 games that they maybe should have won all of them in the first place.
Yeah. Because did they beat Sims?
No.
Okay, I gotta remember their initial matchups because they
No, because they started 0 and whatever, like
were they 0-3 to start because they lost to the Oldies by 1 because of the sports thicket of it all. They went to overtime.
They got clapped by Sims Family. Actually, now that I think back to it, yeah.
Oh, they got beyond clapped. Holy hell, they got beyond fucking clapped. Okay, holy shites. Damn, what happened there?
What was the score?
17-6.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one where Spencer was giving the other team answers.
Well, it was at that point that the game was like beyond over.
No, they were 0-3 to start. Jesus.
Yeah.
Why aren't y'all better?
We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
So they've gone 2-1 since.
Yeah.
They've gone 2-1 since, and I think they beat Edgewood, which is a great win.
Yep,
they
Edgewood,
kept it close against Pacific, and then they beat someone else.
Nerd.
Oh. Well, they won 2 games, okay?
In kind of a close game.
Yeah, it was actually a lot closer than we'd like to admit. It's not over. I'm not banking on it, but they're also, again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record. Again, a team that could go on to win the chump bracket because they have the knowledge. They just suck at like confidence. They suck at fucking Nicole. It was a sports question about a team that was founded in the NBA in 1995.
30 years ago, while they have 30-year banners around her town.
Nicole lives in Toronto, or lives near it, or she was in Toronto, which is the correct answer. And she's like, after Spencer locked on a wrong answer, and she's like, weird. Yeah, they're having a 30-year anniversary for the Toronto Raptors, huh? Oh, that's because that's the answer. Nicole! What are you doing?
Like, she never answers anything, and I've told her this. Anytime she answers anything, even if she knows it's right, she answers it like it's a question.
I just need an ounce of confidence from this team.
Right.
Like, Sam has done it too. Sam, Sam, it's okay to look stupid. It's Hometowns Trivia League. This isn't like the Mensa test. No one cares. So many times after we read the answer, she goes, I was going to say that. Then say it!
Say it!
Say it! God damn it! The one that pisses me off the most, because it just came to my mind, is the Folger. It was the Maxwell House question. It was like,
don't get me started.
Slogan. And they're like, oh, is it Folgers? And then they literally say the entire Folgers theme that has more than 5 words. And they go, oh, that's more than 5 words. Yeah, let's just lock it in.
Let's try it anyway.
Why are you consciously locking in an answer you know is wrong? Why are we doing this? This team should be better. They make dumb mistakes. They should be better. They could make the playoffs.
I want them to make the playoffs.
They deserve to. They aren't a bad team. Just they make bad decisions.
The unfortunate part for them is, like we've been saying a lot in this whole thing, they ended up in a division where we have 2 teams that are incredibly strong, where we really came in saying, well, we know that Beef with a Q is going to be good.
Yeah.
And but we did not necessarily know how great Sims Family Values is going to be. But yes, please, Identity Thieves, win some games, get back in it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the playoffs. Don't worry about anything. Just win your game in front of you. If it happens, it happens. And if not, go rock out the chump bracket.
Yeah. Rooting for y'all.
Rooting for you. You're all my best friends.
Let's talk Beef.
You're the only team in this league. Let me say this. You're the only team people are getting mad at me for saying this.
Oh, I know.
That I don't mind if you beat my wife's team. We'll be still rooting for my wife because she is the mother of my child, my best friend in the whole world, and the love of my life. However,
Fucking dead.
um,
I just love the Thieves.
yes, I do. Weatherman could be on that list too because like Max and
I was gonna say
Gray and Marston and Quinn have all been real life friends at certain points in my life. So like, anyway,
let's talk beef.
beef with a Q.
I think another team 4-3. I don't think is indicative of their record. I mean,
No.
sure. I don't think because here's the thing. Have they deserved their 4-3 record? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you've earned it. Because one, you have it, but two, talk about a team that makes some dumbass fucking mistakes. This team is the biggest perpetuator of I don't want to double dip on round 2. It's too early. When you are between two answers and then you fucking constantly guess the wrong one and allow the other team to auto steal it because you've given them the other answer. If it's round 2, if it's round 9, if you are between two answers, just double dip.
Please.
And I understand that, in their defense, they were pretty confident that the answer was Romeo and not Juliet. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't really say it was between those two.
Like,
I've given them a hard time for that, but yeah.
But like, y'all weren't 100% sure.
Yep.
So just double dip it. And guess what?
Yep.
That's the match. It's what lost you the game.
Yep.
You could have been the only team to beat Purple Penguins this season.
Yep.
And you're not.
Weatherman's really upset about that for you.
But I think they went to overtime with the Weathermen, which was another loss. It was a game that was completely winnable. Oh, on top of the fact that Purple Penguins gave you brain rot and you didn't take it. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Pacific Midwest. So their 3 losses are
I love that as we've done this over the last hour, we've gotten a little less like not unhinged, but like polite.
Okay. But here's why.
As we've gone along.
Friends are in D3 and D4. Like the people who I like fuck around with and like we bully each other as friends. So like no offense to D1 and D2. I just don't have that kind of rapport with y'all. But D3 and D4 I do.
And here's what I will say about beef with the Q that I think is interesting. Because 3 losses is kind of surprising, but when you are the team, and this isn't me just making this up for like sports metaphor, it's real. When you're the team that won it a year before, the teams are showing up a little more locked in.
Yep.
And I mean it. I'm not just saying that because these teams that play you every week are saying it. They're the ones that are like, we want to beat them. We want to take down the champs. And
absolutely.
3 teams have. Identity Thieves almost did it themselves. And so that means, to defend your crown here, you got to lock in too, which you're very capable of. It's not like you've been blown out of any games. The Pacific one wasn't particularly close, but like, it was a
6-point game, but they lost the bonus. If you flip the bonus, that's a closer game. Just they're still a very good team. They've had dare I say, they might have the roughest schedule of anyone, which is funny.
Yeah, they do.
Because Foser, sure, he randomized them. He randomized the schedules, but Foser's the one who randomized it.
Right.
Ex-member of Boy George.
Right.
Funny enough, maybe have ended up with the hardest schedule of anybody.
But like any schedule could have become the hardest schedule. You never know how teams are going to end up. Yeah, exactly. Like it is what it is. Yeah. So they have they have a tough 5 weeks. They do. Southwest Airlines this week, a team they can beat. Smart Boards,
team they can beat,
but those are neither of those.
Games, no.
Yeah, I would not. Yeah, then Old Ladies, a team you should be able to take. Identity Thieves, a team that almost beat you. Then Sims Family Values, a team that you beat, but like it's very, very good. I can see them easily going 4-1 in this next stretch.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe even 5-0.
Maybe even 5-0. Absolutely. They've already swept their division the first time around, which again is good for them, especially against a team like Sims, who they beat I think by 5 or 6 in week 1. So like, even if you lose to Sims, you'll have the tiebreaker most likely over them. You just need to reach that point where you can challenge for the D4. You're not even a game behind. Beef still owns their destiny. If Beef wins out, Beef makes the playoffs because they have the tiebreaker.
Yep.
But things are looking up for Beef. I think they had a rough middle patch. They just need to get back to their old form. They need to be a little bit more strategic with their power ups. I just think they're getting a little too lax with their power ups, and
But
you got
they are, and that's one element. They are still very good at like in-game answering and not talking over each other
yeah.
and being kind of organized in how they go about things. And so that kind of stuff pays off well. They just got to get in the dance, and there will be any team that whichever team I will predict that Beef with a Q will be in the playoffs. Whichever team gets Beef with a Q in the playoffs is gonna be like
Annoyed,
afraid. Yeah.
shit in their pants. Yeah. Uh
Yep.
huh. Mm-hmm. It's
Um,
the team I want to face.
and Beef with a Q getting a lower seed could very well upset the apple cart of the
Yeah.
form of the 8 teams that make it. Because if they're let's say they're at worst case like a 6 seed, which I don't think that's going to happen. But
Mm,
and then they end up playing the 3 seed, a team that is like a division winner and excited to be a 3 seed, and you got to face Beef with a Q in round 1.
yeah, that's
Oh,
fucked.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't want that. So
And,
uh,
and, and yeah, they know their starting lineup needs to be Tyler and Ryan. They know this. They say it all the time. We're not helping them. I think Carrie and Missy also are like the same fucking person with their knowledge sets as well. So like, I think rotating them in and out is just the optimal strategy for them. They know it. We're not telling them anything they don't already know.
no.
Yeah, they're a strong team who just needs to just focus because they've lost some games because they've just made some critical mistakes, and it's like, come on now, you're better than that. And then the surprise of the fucking season, Sims Family fucking Values, 5-2.
Yeah.
And that's, and I don't mean that to be shady. I really
No,
don't.
no,
Because like,
no.
we know that that team is smart, but like, I couldn't in a million years thought they would be 5-2.
Right.
I would have been like 3-4 sounds good for them. Like that's probably where I would have put them. Like a team
Could
that's
could you just
fighting.
hear the thunder that happened outside my house?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like
Jesus.
coming down apparently. Anyway, yeah, no, this
5-2
and
with
let's look at the 5-2. Who are their 2 losses? Beef with a Q and
they
Purple.
just in purple. I was like they just lost. Yeah, to purple. Two of the better teams in the league, if not two of the best, if not the two best.
If not the 2 best in the league, 2 of the top 4 or 5. And everyone else, I mean, eh, they've handled.
Yeah, and they have. I mean, obviously, pending what Pacific does because they haven't played yet, might have the best point differential in the league after 7 games. I
Mhm.
imagine Pacific will take it
Yeah,
once
it's
they
going to be close, but
drop
like
you.
right
But
now at a
maybe
plus
not.
23 is pretty freaking fantastic.
Plus 23.
And
And they
that's
have a 5-point loss to Beef. They lost by
they
5
have a
points.
5-point loss to Beef, and they have an overtime win.
Yeah. And the fact they
Or
still
they
have
have 2 overtime wins.
they have 2 overtime wins, I think. Yeah.
Now, granted, beating Nerd World Order by 13 points certainly helps.
I mean, sure, it surely does. But you know what? Purple Penguins also have played Nerd World Order with a 22-point differential. They only beat him by 3.
Yep. So,
So I want to hear it.
Sims Family Values is threatening. I don't know if they'll threaten for the number 1 spot in the playoffs, but they
Like,
are a team to contend with. Another team I wouldn't want to face in the
no,
playoffs.
they are dangerously. They are very dangerous. They are a team that knows things that I would never have imagined that they would know. And they just balance each other so well, shockingly.
They
I
play
think
well together. They enjoy playing with each other. They are very excited about every week, and they are locked in.
and
Kind of,
that's
I
the
think.
thing.
I think they have surprised themselves. They would say that,
Yeah.
and I think that's what's made it so fun is that they have like surprised them and been like, "Whoa, wait, we're good at this. We
And,
might actually have a shot here."
and here's some entire. They're not a team that applied together.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Madeline wasn't on their team.
right.
He applied as a free agent and got added, and like we told them like, hey, Madeline's in the free agent pool, do you want her? And they're like, yes, we love Madeline, we want her. And they have played like a team that applied together.
Yep.
They did not. They're easily one of them. They are one of the more cohesive teams, and like that goes a mile when you've got some members on certain teams that don't want to say something because they think that they're just going to get overridden anyway, or people feeling a certain type of way. That team will always throw out answers. They'll work
Mhm.
together. They know how to work together. They're a team that I've got my eyes on. They are, if like this was like televised, I think they're a team that like America would be rooting for because they are the upset story of the year right now.
Mhm.
They like no one thought Sims Family Values would be 5-2, winning D4 right now
Yep.
and beating the teams that they have. I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah. Don't know who's going to win that division. It could be either of them. I think I don't know. It's you got to make up. Beef only really has to make up one game on them. And so let me just quickly look. So Sims is playing. Yeah, they have Smart Boards and Southwest coming up. Those are two toughies, and then back to the division.
They have the same schedule as Beef.
Yeah, they have the same schedule as Beef, which good. Like the two teams vying for the division have the same exact gauntlet. Sims has, for all intents and purposes, this division is tied because Beef has the tiebreaker right now. And so that basically makes up that game. If it's going to come down to that, when do they play? And they play each other in the final game.
Final week. Season. It's as if it's all according to plan.
All according to the script.
I don't know.
The script writers knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Which very much look forward to that. Yeah, I don't know who's going to win this division. It could go either way.
I'm excited.
But I do see both these teams in the playoffs, and would love to see them face off in the playoffs. Like, you never know how that will shake out.
That'd be so much fun.
And I do want to say, as I think through this, and you have 8 teams that are going to make the playoffs, whoever they are.
Yeah.
There is no matchup that I would look at in the playoffs and say, oh, they can't beat the other team.
That's why I'm so excited. Like, no offense to season 1. It was like we felt team was going to beat B team, and they would face off against Chicken Strips. We thought Chicken Strips would win. That didn't happen.
Right.
And then we completely predicted all of Division 2 and the championship.
Yep.
I don't feel that way this year.
Nope.
I don't feel that way. I think teams from last year have brought on people that have better round out their teams. We have new teams that are completely surprising us. I'm really excited because, the playoffs are going to be, it's going to feel like March Madness where I don't know who's going to win, who's going to advance. An 8 seed could win it all.
Yep.
They really could. I won't be shocked.
All right. Give me one good hot take or prediction, and then I'll give you one that I've been thinking.
A hot take. You know what? I've ridden for this team. I'm gonna do it. My hot take is Bear Essentials as a playoff team.
I love that take.
I think they're gonna.
Mine is that Texas Two-Step is a playoff team.
It's possible. I'm not down on it.
And we might be wrong, and that's fine.
I mean, I wish we had the Sunday game, because if Texas wins or loses, that's a huge indicator of how that's going to go. I won't be shocked. And I think, I don't think a division winner is going to win the whole thing. I really don't.
Okay,
I don't.
Oh man. I'll take the other side. I'll say that a division winner wins the whole thing.
I have a prediction for who's going to win the whole thing. I really do.
We'll keep that one. We'll let you keep that one to yourself.
Really? No. I'll message the team who I think.
Okay. We'll write it down in a little envelope and we'll show it at the championship.
We'll reveal it on. But
finale night.
I'll pull the PWC move. If I'm wrong, I'm going to change the envelopes. We'll announce La La Land. I don't give a fuck.
Right. I'm excited to see how this shakes out. I love all the inner workings of the numbers of standings, and I love creating a playoff bracket. And then we'll have a chump bracket too, which will be a ton of fun. So,
excited. And it's far from over. We still have 5.5 sets of weeks of games.
Yes. Tons more trivia to come. We hope that everyone, if you've made it to this point, thanks for watching. And if even more so, hope you're enjoying this journey, because you're probably one of the players if you're watching this. We're having a great time with it. I'm having a blast. I think we've hit a nice little stride here. We're excited to see how it all shakes out. Don't take anything we said personally, except unless you're on Nerd World Order.
You should not take anything personally if you're with a negative 50-point differential. Don't come to us.
Yeah.
You were mean.
You've given us no choice.
Literally.
All right. I got to go pick up Franklin, so I'm going to sign off. And we'll see you guys in the next match. Can't wait.